Tonight it is a great pleasure to introduce Rebecca Kaas, who's going to give a great presentation on job search motivation. And you guys are all going to really appreciate this and benefit from it. It's going to give you a great perspective that you may not have had before, and it will help you framework your process and your approach. So Rebecca with Deed is here as a DevOps, and we're grateful to have her tonight. So Rebecca, do you want to introduce yourself and your topic?
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Rebecca Kaas, and I'm a Veterans Employment Representative for the Department of Employment and Economic Development. I work directly with veterans in all aspects of their job search. So that's it in a nutshell. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Okay. No. Okay. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. I should have shared first. Just give me a minute. I had this problem the other night. I'm like, I'm not going to do that again, but here I am doing it. Okay. Okay, here we go. So share. Okay, here we go. So from the beginning. Okay, so the topic of my presentation is called Job Seeker Modes. Job seeker mode. So these are the attitudes and behaviors that job seekers tend to get into during the course of their journey. I didn't do this, this is not all of my idea. This is in collaboration with Alan Hill and Jeff Wells. So Alan Hill actually gets a lot of credit for this. Because this is kind of like his little brainchild, for lack of a better word. So the job seeker modes are, all right, I'll have you read the quote, and I'm sure you've all heard it before and read it before, but I think very few people actually know the first person that actually said this. And it was Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, interesting. Definition of insanity. Okay. So here we are, the job seeker modes. I'm going to read each one of these because I want this to be interactive. Okay, I want everyone to participate if they have something that they would like to add. So when I'm reading through these examples, I want you to be thinking about your own journey, or maybe someone else's journey, that maybe you've been in one of these modes before, or you're currently in one of these modes, or if you know someone who has been. So just I'm going to ask you to think about that. So cruise mode. Okay, everything is progressing nicely, making good progress, has the direction, momentum, navigation, and fuel. Coast. Everything seems to be moving along, but not stepping on the gas, really. Avoidance. Not starting, not trying, but hey, not struggling either. Flounder, drown. I can't get focused. Nothing is working. Throw me a lifeline. Panic. I need a job now. Give me a job. Any job. No, not that job. What do you think I am? Desperate? These are all quotes from Alan Hale, by the way. That's why I put them in quotes, and I've got his name down at the bottom. All right, so personal growth is not linear. All right, so these modes are not arranged in any particular order, although some job seekers do move through each one from top to bottom or bottom to top. Some job seekers could move from avoidance to panic if they've been putting off their job search for too long and just recently exhausted their unemployment benefits. The panic mode can or should be the catalyst for getting back into cruise. Others, having heard nothing back from the employer since they applied for a job, could move from flounder, drown to coast, or even cruise after they receive an invitation to an interview. All right. So here's the definition again, the quote from Allen, and below that are the assigned symptoms and behaviors. So cruise mode is the ideal state. It's everything you're doing seems to be working. One thing to be aware of is that cruise mode usually doesn't last very long. You will either land a job or hit a plateau. Similar to a weight loss program, if you hit a plateau and don't keep your foot on the gas pedal, you might find yourself in coast, avoidance, or flounder, drown. All right, so what does this look like? Okay, so look at the picture above. Look at the guy. He's working away. He's got a bunch of work in front of him, and he looks very happy. So everything's going well. All right. So can anyone relate to cruise mode? Give me an example, maybe in your own journey or, someone you know.
I can start that.
Yeah.
I had a veteran who was relocating here from the out of state, and this was a few years ago now, and he said, "Hey, I heard you were somebody to network with, and we should talk." And I said, "Sure." And I explained to him the 20-minute networking meeting book. And after that, he probably had it, once he got a handle on networking and started applying it, he was able to land his job within a couple months very easily. And it was because he had an outgoing personality that served him well in that mode. He didn't struggle with connecting with people at all. And that was, it was literally a half an hour conversation with him, and he was good to go.
That's a great example. Thank you, Alan. Okay, so the next, I'm just showing you the signs, symptoms, and behaviors again, just in case you didn't get a chance to read them before. So, okay. All right, so the next one is the coast mode. And here are the signs, symptoms, and behaviors. So coast mode is like riding a bicycle and you stop pedaling. You just kind of fly down the hill. It can also mean going through the motions without a lot of focus or thought, like driving home and not remembering what route you took. And since you're not learning anything new, coast mode all but guarantees you will get behind in your skill sets. So, all right, so what does this look like? What is an example? So look at the pictures above. All right, so you have a lady and a gentleman. The lady on the left is sitting in front of her computer, but she's not really doing anything, is she? She's kind of like staring off into space, maybe daydreaming. We don't really know what she's doing. The gentleman on the right, yeah, he's sitting in front of his, well, it's not exactly sitting, is he? He's propped up in front of his computer with his feet up on the table, and there's a bunch of post-it notes, but there's nothing written on them. So, they kind of look like maybe they're doing something, but closer inspection, no, they're probably not really doing anything. So can anyone give me an example in your own journey or maybe somebody else's?
Record. Yeah, this is Mike. I mean, we've had people in the group before where they're, like you say, they're on coast mode, and it's a lot of it's to do with networking they're not comfortable with, and they're just doing applications. And if they didn't have some of the coaching to steer them towards some of those, they would have never applied for it or never have followed up on stuff. So.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. That's a great example. Okay, so next is the avoidance mode. And here are the signs, symptoms, and behaviors. So the avoidance mode, okay, so we all avoid something from time to time, but across the board, avoidance in your job search is a problem. If you recognize yourself in these signs, symptoms, and behaviors, that's good. Awareness is the first step to change. Be aware of your avoidance behavior. Job hunting can be a full-time job, when you're unemployed. You need to invest time in your search just as you would a typical work week. If you're in school or employed while seeking a better job, your time may be somewhat limited, but you should put as much time as you can into it. So, Okay, so here's an example. Okay, so what does this look like? Look at the guy in the picture. Okay, so what's he doing? All right, he's sitting in front of the TV, maybe playing a video game, got a nice cold bottle of beer in front of him, eating some popcorn. It looks like he's doing anything but job searching, right? So can anyone give me an example in their own journey, maybe somebody else that they know?
Well, to be frank, I'm trending towards avoidance myself. Had a couple of promising leads early on and still kind of waiting to hear how those pan out. But between the holidays and other things, it's been kind of trending downwards. And so I'm trying to get back, trying to avoid avoidance, so to speak.
Avoid avoidance. Avoid
I love that.
avoidance. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I've witnessed more than one veteran in the avoidance mode, and a lot of, not a lot, couple of them have used the infamous honeydew list, right? AKA throwing the wife under the bus, according to Alan Hill.
Yep.
So they use their honeydew list to put off applying for jobs. During our weekly check-ins, convo goes something like this. So in the past 7 days, have you applied for any jobs or any of the jobs that I referred to you? No. Why not? Well, my wife wanted me to do this, that, and the other thing, so I didn't have time. Okay. All right.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I've seen people, start throwing their kids under the bus. Well, I got to take them to school. And I'm like, I sometimes I won't say it, but I'll just wait and let them realize it's like, how did they get to school when you were working? So it's just
Exactly.
like, I don't see how that qualifies.
Yep. Another good example. Okay.
See, when I was in avoidance mode, I was going to the gym pretty frequently because it gave me something to do other than looking for a job or setting up networking meetings. I was spending quite a bit of time, looking for stuff either online or at the library, or I had a outplacement counselor that was provided through my former employer. So I spent a lot of time going to seminars there and, checking out publications, etc. But I really wasn't doing anything, and I wasn't I'm not a socially person anyway. And I'm, networking, although I developed a facility with it, I didn't enjoy it. So yeah, I was definitely looking for anything else to do other than networking or, figuring out how I was going to get a job.
Thank you, Renee. That's another great example. And like I said before, this is all about awareness, right? So if we take a look at ourselves and our behaviors and our attitudes and say, okay, what mode am I in? And if we find ourselves in a mode like this one, then we know that we need to change something, right? So thank you, Renee.
I think Rebecca, this is Jeff.
Oh, hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Hi.
A little bit late. But this one is, a part of this one is procrastination as well, because you are avoiding, and I know I fell into this so many times during my job search where, I'll do that tomorrow. It's almost 4 o'clock. It sounds like a pretty good day's work of looking for a job, or something to that order, and then, we're in Minnesota, snowfall can come anytime, and tomorrow you might be shoveling yourself out. So avoidance and procrastination are hand in hand.
They are.
It's so easy to do.
Absolutely. They sure are. Thank you, Jeff. It's a great insight. And I'm glad you're here. Okay. So the next one is the flounder drown mode. All right. And here's the signs, symptoms, and behaviors. So floundering consists primarily of a lack of commitment to an occupational goal. However, it is more than that. It's also an attitude about the labor market. For example, you might assume that if you find a good job, it will happen primarily because of chance. You're frequently motivated by a sense of hope. If you're lucky, a good job will become available to you. During the stage of floundering, you do have some goals, but in many instances, the objective of a floundering career seeker is money. Yeah, money. That's really not the best objective to have. Okay, so what does this look like? Look at the guy, he's he's drowning. Help, SOS. All right. Can anyone think of an example in their own journey? Maybe someone else that they know?
I have examples in every single one of these.
I know you do, Jeff. I know you
I know you were my accountability coach. So in Flounder Drown, for me, I really did drown myself in all those job search applications. I probably had in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a job. Look at them. They're all coming in. And the time to read them all, and the time to go through them and qualify them and all that took so much of my time. I was so overwhelmed. And I remember unsubscribing. It took me just as much time if not more, to unsubscribe from all these. And it really, I flooded myself with busy work rather than networking and doing what actually works.
I did the same.
And I have an awesome spreadsheet to show all the activity that I did.
Yeah.
But I was so busy updating my spreadsheet all the time, I wasn't getting real work done.
Yep. I was in the same boat, you know, during the recession. I was unemployed for two years. And so I went through all 3 tiers of unemployment. And so financially, I guess I was doing okay. I mean, I wasn't quite in the panic mode yet, but still I wasn't getting anywhere with my job search. That's for sure. You know, I had applied for so many jobs. I knew I was qualified for at one company without getting called for a single interview. I was convinced that I was on their blacklist. That was for sure.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know anything about resume writing. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about resume writing. I knew nothing about networking. I knew nothing about interviewing. You know, I'm thinking like, well, if I knew back then, you know, what I know now, and I'll be the first to say that I don't know everything, but I could have cut my job search time in half probably if I had only known then. But okay, so panic mode. All right, panic mode. Signs, symptoms, and behaviors. I'll let you read that. So job seekers have been in panic mode since March of 2020. Agree? Yes. When the first wave of quarantine swept across the US, with the economy up in the air and companies' ability to hire being severely curtailed or outright stopped, many were and still are left wondering what to do and how to manage the job search. Panic job searching limits your ability to focus on searching for positions that you were truly interested in and ones that lead to a higher level of job satisfaction. When you don't selectively and intentionally apply for positions that fit your skills, interests, and values, you lose valuable time and energy that could be used elsewhere. So look at the lady. She's freaking out. Oh my God. What did she do? She permanently deleted her resume. She missed a closing date. What happened, right? We can all relate to this. I know I can. So examples?
I don't have an example so much to add. Is the thing about it is that this also can become a paralysis mode very easily, in that it's, you know, I need to take something now. Okay, well, what about this job? No, that I'm not going to do driving, or I'm not going to do X, or I'm not going to do Y. And it's like, it doesn't matter what was offered as a like a recovery job or a get by job, because there's a panic or a paralysis that goes with the panic, I've noticed sometimes. And it's like you're stuck. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't, and it's really hard to get out of that.
Sure, it is hard. It's very hard to get out of that.
And I think sometimes too, our families are not as helpful. I know someone whose spouse was just getting frustrated and just said, just go get a job.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I'm trying. the kids are like, you're too old. Why are you trying to get your old career back? You're never gonna, you're not gonna be the guy you always were. So just, don't just stop worrying about it. And then at the same time, the person was saying, well, I've done this and I've done this and I've done that and I've done this. I can do that. And it's like, well,
Right.
Focus on, I think one of the points was focus too. So, and it's really hard.
It is hard. And
And
I think
one of
it's
the-
really hard for, mid-level career seekers, because they've already had so much experience already, and they've already done so many things. And I think that sometimes people can develop like an identity crisis. Like they don't even know who they are anymore, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Thank
One
you,
of the-
Renee. Yes.
One of the issues with the panic mode is that when you go to interview, it's like you've tattooed across your forehead, I need this job.
Mm-hmm.
And the person you're interviewing with can sense this panic, and they may
Desperate.
not know exactly what it is, but it comes across. It's your frequency that changes.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, I agree. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is Mike. I think
Hi, Mike.
I could have been this because I, networked, got my job at U.S. Bank, and I just kept coming back to the group and help people, and they blindsided us, laying off, the whole group or whatever, 700 some people.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hadn't been continuing networking and keep looking, that I would have been. I was going like, well, I'll retire from here, and then the next thing you know, they're laying us off, and it's like that doesn't work. And if you're not keeping up on your networking, you end up in this mode, I say.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that
out of the
could,
blue, and you haven't been.
yep, that could
tracking. Yeah.
very easily happen. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Okay. So,
I was unemployed for a year and a half, and notice I said was. And I say was because this stuff works. Being aware, Rebecca, I'm so glad you're making this presentation, because this awareness was 100% key to me becoming employed. And I remember the panic in there, ready to settle for anything, starting to see qualifications as disqualifying me for jobs. Oh, they want that. I'm not certified in this. All this panic starting to go in. I started wondering, like you say, the identity thing. Am I going through a midlife crisis? What's happening here?
yeah.
Becoming desperate and, willing to do almost anything at that point. I'm looking at jobs that I qualified for when I was in high school, thinking, should I be doing that just for the meantime? But, steady in the course and knowing that you get back to those earlier modes, the cruise mode,
Right.
and those modes, getting back into that
Right.
activity. The awareness was 100% key for my success in landing a job.
Yes, absolutely. And, just so everyone knows, Jeff and I worked very closely together. And so I actually introduced the job seeker modes to Jeff. And he fell in love with the concept. He's like, oh my God, this is great. He said, so Jeff says, every time we meet, I want you to ask me what mode I'm in, right? Remember that, Jeff? And I think that, that really helped him overcome, some of the more negative modes that he was in, because he became aware of it, right? And once you're aware of something, then you can work to change it, right? Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I think it was a very short period of time, in
It was
in a year and a half, but a short period of time when I became aware to when I landed. It was a short period.
Very short. Yep. Yeah, really good point. Okay, so the way out, of course, is to start with number one, a process, and number two, resources, people, tools, knowledge, with a focus on learning how the job search thing works. And that is directly from Alan Hill. Okay, so now we're going to talk about overcoming these modes. All right, so here's some of the strategies that you can do to overcome coast mode. So effective strategies are critical for your job search, whether you're unemployed or wanting to change careers. Mastering the process of job searching can help you find and ultimately acquire the best job opportunities. Evaluating different kinds of job searching strategies can help you evaluate which strategy will work best for your situation. Build your personal network. Recognize that searching for a job is a job. It's a job. Be selective. Only apply for jobs you're at least 75% qualified for. Create and manage your personal brand. Keep learning and track your efforts. Okay. Overcoming avoidance mode. All right. Stop making excuses and blaming others. Sorry. To change any maladaptive behavior, you must first start becoming aware of when it's occurring. At the end of each day, stop and reflect on how you engaged in avoidance behaviors throughout your day. Write down any that stand out. You may have noticed how you did this in small and big ways. Only by making an effort to notice these actions will you be ready to change them. The one thing you should avoid is letting the fear of future failure govern your current behavior. Make a list of your fears. Sometimes fears can also be closely aligned with your goals. Overcoming fear and running towards what scares you most can be your next goal and can help you get on a path towards success. And I can tell you that that is certainly true. That was certainly true for me, because when I found the job posting for DevOps, I was very hesitant about applying for the job because I didn't think that I was qualified. I really didn't. But I talked to friends and family, and everyone I talked to said, you need to apply for this job. And I said, okay, I will. And the rest is history. So, okay. Overcoming flounder drown mode. All right. So you don't want to internalize failure. Let it define you or wallow in any single setback too long. Oftentimes, when you face failure, you have to be able to take a step back and really dissect the factors that contributed to the event. Make a list of what factors were beyond your control. If the setback resulted from things that were in your control, what would you do differently? Once you assess the factors that led to the failure, you're ready to create a plan for next time. How can you better anticipate factors outside of your control? Sometimes you can't. What new approach would you take if you could redo everything? By planning to take practical measures over an extended period, you can set yourself up for future success in similar situations. Overcoming panic mode. Okay. One way to deal with job search panic is to embrace it and use it as a motivator. Some anxiety is really helpful. It can motivate you. Anxiety left unchecked, however, can lead to paralysis. Who said that word, paralysis? Was that Alan, or who said that?
I think it was Mike.
Mike? I'm sorry, Mike, were you talking about paralysis? Yep, I think. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
Okay. Anxiety left unchecked, however, can lead to paralysis in your job search, where you feel like you're not up to pursuing new job opportunities, submitting new applications, or even showing up for interviews. Overcoming job search anxiety is as simple as changing up your routine slightly and then watching the results create themselves over time. You don't have to rapidly change your outlook on your job search to reduce your anxiety. You just need to take small steps to find balance in your routine. Spend time with others. Get outside if the weather's nice. Visualize your success and seek emotional support if you need it. So here's a nice little quote that I thought was relevant. Okay. And Okay, so, coaches can help overcome, or they can help their clients overcome these modes as well. There are things that we can do as coaches, and especially as accountability coaches, we can really help. So, some advice for coaches.
I really like that last one, tag team with other coaches for a
Yeah.
fresh approach, right?
Yeah.
That's only of benefit to the person in job search.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Renee Roth and I have done that before.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked pretty well.
I think that's great.
Thank you, Renee.
You need a lot of different resources,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's, you could be all saying the same thing, but just the way somebody else says it suddenly resonates and clicks and makes sense, right? Because
Yep.
it's coming from a different perspective. So
Yep.
very good to do that.
Yep.
And if you're a job seeker, seek out other people,
Mm-hmm.
get as many different opinions on it as possible.
Yeah, and one thing I learned as a coach, when you're, assigning tasks and setting goals, always put down a deadline, right? Okay, so you say you want to do this. This is one of your goals. Okay, so when are you going to do it? You
Yep.
kind of have to, show some tough love, I guess, and
Yeah.
say, okay, when are you going to get it done? Because next week when we meet, I'm going to ask you. Okay, you know that.
Yep.
So if they know that they're going to be coming back and they're going to be having another conversation with you, and you've already, set the goals, or you're not telling them, I never tell people what their goals should be. That should come from them, right? But what they say, they want to achieve something. Okay, when? So the next time we meet, okay, and then they have to tell me that, okay, I didn't get this done. Okay, why not? Why not? Why not? Is it still a goal, or do you want to take this off your list, or what do you want to do with it? You can't just leave it there forever. You got to make a decision. You're either going to get it done, or you're going to take it off your list, right? So tough love. And some final thoughts. I like this one. Supportive network. Positivity, strong support network. Okay, and then final thoughts. This is actually a really long quote from Steve Jobs, and when he was at the commencement ceremony, and I forget the name of the university, but I'm sure you read this before. I really like this quote. Do what you love. And if you haven't found out what you love, keep looking. Don't settle. All right. So here's the team. Alan Hill, Jeff Wells. Great job, guys. Thanks for the help. All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Any questions?